All right, so at the weekend, UFC 316, Sean O'Malley went out there against Merab Dvalishvili, this time with no injuries, no labrum, no social media distractions, gooning, whatever you want to call it. That's not a phrase I use, but he came in, dialed in, focused, and ready to try and reclaim his belt, but he was unsuccessful. He was unsuccessful in every single round, didn't win a single round. However, he did do a better job of stopping the takedowns. Yes, he was taken down in round 1. Round 2 stopped all the takedown attempts and, of course, was carrying out the game plan, which was clearly stick and move. Don't get taken down, don't get held down, stick and move, pick him apart, use the reach, use the range. Round 2, it was starting to look like he was going to take over. He was landing some shots, and as I said, the biggest thing, he was stopping the takedown. But then in round 3, Merab upped the ante. He went into 5th gear. He upped the effort, the output, the takedown attempts. He got hold of him, he took him down, he held him down, and as Sean was working back to his feet, ragdolled him down again, and then got the Ezekiel choke. It was kind of a modified Ezekiel choke, this time from north-south position, not in the mount position. I don't know if they do call it an Ezekiel, but it's kind of like an Ezekiel, kind of like a rear naked choke from the top position. I didn't think he'd get it, and I was kind of surprised when Sean O'Malley tapped. So there it is. Merab is still the champion. Now, of course, next is probably going to be Corey Sandhagen. Now, a lot of people were bitching about the fight because they felt that Sean O'Malley shouldn't have had that opportunity in the first place. The reality is, he's the biggest star in the bantamweight division. Not anymore. Now that's Merab. But at the time, he was. It's as simple as that. But now he's not only been beaten by Merab once, he's not only not the champion, he's been beaten twice by Merab, and he was finished as well. So, where does Sean O'Malley go from here? Well, he's only 30 years old, so he's still got a lot of time left in the sport. Yes, after the fight, he was very deflated. You could see that in the octagon. He looked kind of lost. And I get it. You sacrifice so much. You go out there, you change your phone number, you get off social media, you don't do interviews, and you're not gooning these days, or whatever the kids call it. You made some changes, and it still wasn't enough. The reality is, that's just Merab Dvalishvili. That's how good this man is. It's not necessarily that Sean O'Malley isn't a great fighter. Of course he is. Look at what he did to Marlon Chito Vera. Look at what he did on his path to becoming the champion. Yeah, a close fight with Piotr Yan, but Piotr Yan is the real deal and a former champion himself. The question is, where does he go now? Because a lot of people are coming out and they're kind of on his coach, Tim Welch, who's a very good friend of his as well, and saying, what is this guy doing? He didn't make any improvements, and he did worse in the second fight than what he did in the first fight, okay? I think that's a little unfair. And I'll tell you what, Sean O'Malley's very lucky to have a close friend and somebody that he trusts, like Tim Welch, to go through this journey of mixed martial arts. When you're a professional fighter and you become famous like Sean O'Malley has, and then all of a sudden you get a lot of new friends, a lot of people come out of the woodwork, right? You're making money. They want you to invest in this. They want you to be a partner in that, okay? You can't trust anybody because they're all new friends. And a lot of the time, people want something from you. So yes, while Sean O'Malley didn't have a better performance and certainly didn't get the win, I don't think he needs to abandon his longtime coach and, more importantly, his friend, somebody that he can trust. However, I do think that going and training at other places will be beneficial. As a fighter, you've always got to be evolving. Now, of course, Islam Makhachev famously said, send him Dagestan 2-3 years and forget.
If you want your son high-level wrestling, send him 2-3 years Dagestan and forget.
3 years?
That'd be awesome. However, I don't know if he'd be welcome in Dagestan because obviously Umar Nurmagomedov is still trying to become the champion, okay? And you don't want to train with Sean O'Malley. But the point that I'm making is there's a tremendous amount of gyms around, okay? Now, of course, American Top Team is a place that jumps out straight away. I'm not saying leave Tim Welch. I'm saying move around, go to different coaches, train with different people, absorb as much knowledge and information as you can. Because Sean O'Malley's going to want to be the champion again. And yes, he's not going to get that opportunity anytime soon. He's going to need to go away, win 2-3 fights, do it in stunning fashion, and then all of a sudden, he might find himself fighting for a belt again. But of course, if Merab is still the champion, and there's a really good chance of that, the only person out there that Merab hasn't really beaten is Corey Sandhagen. And I do think Corey Sandhagen will pose some stylistic problems for Merab because he's tall, because of the jiu-jitsu, because of how cerebral and calculated he is, and just how technical he is everywhere. everywhere, he will cause some problems. But if Merab beats Corey Sandhagen, he's going to start lapping the division. And in about 2 or 3 fights, Sean could find himself there again. And then the question becomes, who does Sean fight next? Petr Yan, he wants a rematch. Umar Nurmagomedov, that's going to be a tough one. Corey Sandhagen, obviously, he's going to fight for the belt. You've got Song Yadong sitting there at number 5. That could be a good one. So out of the top 5, there it is. There's my pick, Song Yadong. Not an easy fight. Song Yadong hits really hard. But when you're still ranked number 1 in the world, there isn't going to be any easy matchup. So I say take some time away. Go off, train at some other gyms. Absorb as much knowledge as you can. Work on your takedown defense. Find some better sparring partners. And again, that isn't an insult to his coach. I think he's very lucky to have somebody that he trusts so closely. But there's nothing wrong with seeing what else is out there, because that's what you've got to do. You've got to come back as a different, more improved version of yourself. You've got to be honest with yourself and think, what was I doing wrong? Obviously, he did that after the first Merab loss, okay? He looked inward and said, I need to make some changes. I'm doing a podcast. I'm doing too much social media. You know, I'm paying too much attention to dyeing my hair and being flamboyant and being the character of Sugar Sean. Now it's time to look at the work that you're doing. And again, not an insult, but it can always be improved. There's always other skills that you can add to your arsenal. Get better training partners, get tougher sparring partners, find other coaches that can help Tim Welch to make you a bigger, better version. Maybe put on a bit of muscle. Maybe go up to 145. That is a potential option for Sean O'Malley as well. But as I said, 316 belonged to Merab Dvalishvili, and he might just be the greatest bantamweight of all time. And he's beaten almost everyone. Sean O'Malley, he's beaten. Petr Yan, he's beaten. Umar Nurmagomedov, beaten. Corey Sandhagen, no. He's the only guy in the top 5 that he hasn't beaten. Davison Figueiredo, Marlon Vera, Rob Font. Yeah, these are people that he hasn't fought, but he doesn't need to. He's beaten Henry Cejudo, another guy that's in running for one of the greatest bantamweights of all time. And when it comes to the GOAT at bantamweight, I think you're looking at Merab Dvalishvili, Dominic Cruz, and Henry Cejudo. Which one of those 3 would you say is the greatest of all time at bantamweight? Let me know in the comment section, please. And what do you think that Sean O'Malley needs to do next? Obviously, in the co-main event, we had Kayla Harrison. She is now the new champion of the world. She's a 2-time gold medalist at the Olympics. She's the bantamweight champion of the UFC and potentially one of the greatest female fighters that the sport's ever seen. And she's going to go up against the GOAT, Amanda Nunes. There's a lot of talk of GOATs in these videos, but I'm telling you, these are all GOATs. Merab, potentially a GOAT. Nunes, a GOAT. Kayla Harrison, will she be a GOAT? I guess we'll see that one down the line. But where does that fight take place? Does it take place at 35 or 45? I think if Amanda Nunes agrees to fight Kayla Harrison at 145, that's just playing into the hands of Kayla Harrison, because she's naturally a bigger person. Anyway, I got another day on set. I got to head off in just a minute, so thanks for watching. Subscribe, ring the bell, and let me know what you think about the video, and let me know who is the greatest bantamweight of all time. You guys have a good one. See you soon.